Hello, everyone, and welcome to a little bit of this and that. I'm Aaron, your host, and I'm joined by two of my, new podcasting best friends, Corey and Tommy. Hello, guys.
Hi.
How are y'all?
Good.
Good.
I've known you for years.
We're new friends.
I've actually been knowing you probably in Twitter land more than a couple years.
We never spoke before at any point.
Oh, well, all right. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. Or I'll just rewrite it. Alternate facts now. New friends.
Oh my god.
Today we're talking about guys and dating, and I'm just curious. Let's start with the more juicy stuff. Tell me about your worst first date.
My worst first date?
I can go.
That's a good one.
I can go.
Yeah, you go first. Yeah.
Because pretty much all my dates have been like the worst first dates in some sense.
Yeah, you go first because I have to think about that.
Yeah, same.
So my first date, I was a new little gay boy out at 24, and I went on a date with this guy. I drove an hour and a half to get there. Here's my advice. If you have to drive farther than 20 minutes, he's not worth it. He's not worth it.
I've done that. Yeah, I've done it too. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But so we went, had dinner at TGI Fridays.
I love Fridays.
Then we went and we saw Pitch Perfect. That was the best part about the date. We saw Pitch Perfect.
Yep.
And then as we're coming home, he had tagged me in some Facebook stuff like, at the movies with Aaron. I was like, well, I guess that's cool that, we're just meeting, but okay. Well, then his ex tries to add me on Facebook, and I'm like, someone named so-and-so just added me on Facebook. He went, that's my ex, and got so excited. I was like, why are you trying to date with me? So really, it just come to find out I was just kind of let me make you jealous, because after that he didn't talk to us. But I had to leave early too because my grandmother went to the hospital. They thought she was having a heart attack, and I think he thought I was lying. It's like, no, my grandma was very sickly.
So was there a second date?
Years later.
Did you guys forget that you had a first date?
No.
We're like, you look familiar.
We never met. We never met. We're gonna start again.
Somehow we became Instagram friends again. I think he added me or something, and it was after I had broken up with Kyle, and we went on a date, and I realized Kyle ruined me for any guy that cannot keep a conversation. Kyle was really smart, so if you're dumb, I can't date you now. Because we had a second date, which was so funny years later. I was just like, I don't think I'm really into you anymore. And then the third date, we did some stuff with his friends, and oh my God, all they talked about was the Real Housewives, Drag Race, and their trip to New Orleans. I was like, can we talk about something a little bit more? I don't know.
Can I be included in this?
Yes. So I worked my way into the conversation. They were like, oh my God, New Orleans is such the best. I was like, oh my God, New Orleans smells like shit. I was like, we were walking down the street. And they're like, how can you think that way? I'm like, because it literally smelled like shit when I was walking down the street. I stepped in water, and I had to pretend it was water because I didn't want to think it was pee.
Oh my God.
And they're just going on and on about how New Orleans was great. And I was like, New Orleans sounds like shit. And we didn't talk much after that.
I guess there wasn't a third date.
There wasn't a third date. And I was very okay with that.
Are you friends?
No.
Wow. That was a really good story.
Thanks.
I'm having a really rough time with this one. I feel like I blocked a lot of stuff.
I agree with that too, Tommy. I'm literally trying to think back, and I have one. I mean, I guess I'll talk about this one. This was a few years back. It wasn't anything super crazy, but it was there was just no connection. We met up. We met at a coffee shop, and he was very, very introverted, very quiet. and it was like pulling teeth to try to get like conversation. So like I was just like, all right, this is a bust. Like I was like, there's just no connection. There's so much we can talk about the weather and how good the coffee is, and this is a nice area, and like it just gets so lame. And like all of a sudden we like went outside. We're like, I'm like, oh, why don't we like take a walk? It's like nice. I was like cute little like area. He's like, yeah. So we started like walking. He's like, all right, well, I'll walk you to your car. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, so he like walked to my car, and I'm like, all right, I guess we're done. Like that's whatever. So I like went back to my car, and I ended up calling my friend. I was like, oh my god, that date was so like just whack. And I was just like, I just don't understand. And then he like texted me and was like, oh my god, I had such a good time. Like we should definitely like meet up again. And like I had such a good time. And I was like, really? I was like, we really didn't like talk about anything. And I was just like shocked. And I've had that a lot where people are like, they have such a great moment. And I'm like, I didn't really feel anything.
I've had that too.
Like, I just
Like,
don't understand that.
and I'm like,
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think so.
I don't think I'm
Sorry.
ready to date.
Oh my god, how many times I've said that? I'm so awful. I'm literally like, listen, like my excuse, like my friends know this, my excuse, and I shouldn't, honestly, I shouldn't really be saying it, but who cares? I'm always like, yeah, I just gotta have a relationship, like I'm really like not in the right like mental state, and that's always been like my like
I've definitely been
way out.
realized I'm not over my ex.
That I dated years ago, and I'm like super over it, but like I'm like, I'm just not ready for this. But sometimes I'm truthful.
Fair warning, if I say anything that seems inappropriate, it's because I try to laugh about my grief instead of cry about it.
Yeah.
I use that excuse quite a few times too, and no one could say anything to it because he was dead.
Oh yeah. Wow.
So I went on a couple of dates after Kyle had died, and they'd be like, you just don't seem over your ex. I'm like, yeah, he just died like 2 months ago, but the therapist said I should get back out there.
So here I am.
You're like, I'm trying, I'm just not there yet.
Because that's literally what happened. Like, I went to a counselor, and she's like, well, what would you be doing if he wasn't dead? I was like, well, trying to move on with my life and date, because we weren't together at the time. She's like, so maybe you should try to do it. I was like, all right, I'll try it. Went through a lot of guys, and nope.
I have a question.
Told I was crazy.
By who? The people? The
Yeah, I
guys?
had one guy tell me, you're just not over your ex. I feel like it's been a while, and you seem crazy. I'm like, it's been 2 months.
Oh my god, guys are awful.
And then he went around telling other guys that I was crazy. So when I would try to, swipe left or right, son would be like, oh, but so-and-so went, oh, yeah. And I would never I would never say anything bad, because I was like, yeah, we went out. They're like, oh, he says you're crazy. I'm like, that fucker. Let me tell you what's crazy.
What a reputation you had.
There for a while, I was like the crazy guy, because I went out and watched a movie with someone who ended up being his friend, who was a friend of his. I didn't know. It's how small this fucking state is.
Yeah, I was about to say.
He's like, oh, yeah, Logan told me about you. He said you're crazy, but you just don't seem crazy. I'm like, that's because he's a dickhead, and I'm not crazy. He got mad.
I think that's just the gay community in general, like in wherever anybody lives. Because everybody knows each other, everybody's been out with each other, fucked each other.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Literally, with everybody, I'm like, if we have mutuals, I'm like, how do you know this person?
Yeah.
With my current boyfriend, he's always like, did you fuck him? I'm like, no.
That's
Well,
honestly
you're in New York, so it's like everyone knows
honestly
everyone
why,
in New York.
I was searching far away. I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
I'm like an hour and a half from the city. So there was a point where I was just sick of everybody on Long Island.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm dating somebody in the city. I was in Brooklyn all the time.
So what's the
You're just making your rounds.
what's the farthest you went to see or date a guy? I think I have all of you beat.
I dated somebody that lived upstate, which was like 2.5 hours away. And then he came to visit me one day, and he moved in for 6 months. But he was a scam artist. We broke up after 6 months because I found out that he was like, he wasn't working. He magically lost his job when he came to visit me, so that's how he ended up staying. Yeah, he wasn't a good person. I don't hate a lot of people, but I feel like I would attack him if I saw him.
Yeah.
Okay, Corey, what's the farthest you've went?
5 hours there and back. So 10 hours.
To get there, 2 plane rides.
Oh, who is that?
He's on the screen.
Oh yeah, Tom. Oh my God, yes! We need to talk about this.
I don't
We
count.
need to talk about this. Aaron, please tell the viewers, tell everyone this story of you guys.
Oh, it's like nothing interesting.
I didn't get to tell my band first date story.
Pivot. Tommy's like,
He's like, actually, you know what? Aaron, go ahead and tell the story. This was my worst date story. No, I'm just kidding. Look, see, I can talk bad about myself.
I'm sorry I dragged you all over New York City.
That was a good day. That was a good, really day. Oh,
wow.
Sorry, first worst date, Tommy?
Well, there was a point where I was going on a lot of first dates, but not a lot of second dates.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because it was me. I was definitely the problem. Because I'd be like, ooh, I didn't like the way his eyebrow arched. Like, I would just, like, I could find something wrong with anybody just to justify why I couldn't go out with them. Like, I was having commitment issues. I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So, this one was a while ago, like over 10 years ago. It was like a group date almost. It was like me and one of my good girlfriends and him and his best friend. And I met him on Plenty of Fish. And we like met up at the mall or whatever for like lunch and just like to walk around. It was very casual. I like casual first dates, like coffee, lunch, because I feel like you can get out of it. Dinner, it's like, what are we gonna do after? And I'm like, fuck
Yeah.
So I like to do coffee or lunch. So we meet up with him, and I don't know if you know this, Corey. I'm a dental assistant.
Oh, okay.
He smiled, and he's missing his teeth from like here to here.
Aw.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you know I'm a dental assistant. It said it on my profile. Like, did you think I was going to get you dentures? Like,
maybe
so
that was
like,
and now this is in for you. He's like, this is perfect.
So I don't know what happened. Like, the night before I had gone out, I don't know. I like broke a blood vessel in my eye, so I had like a red something in my eye or whatever. And his friend actually had the balls to say to me, "What's up with your eye?" I was like, "What the fuck is up with your friend's teeth? Like, are you fucking kidding me?"
Oh my God, fight!
And that was another one, like, after I was like, okay, nice to meet you, this was fun. And then he texted me, had so much fun, can't wait to see you again. I was like, probably not.
Yikes. Why are people like that? Why do people think in their head that, like, it was such a good time? Like, what did I give you that gave you that?
I don't mean to be, he also had a wonky eye. His eye kind of rolled. Like,
Tommy, you're just being, like, rude now. You're, like, really nitpicking.
No, there was reason.
You're one of those. You're one of those days.
As soon as they would point out something about me, I'd be like, it's a hold my hoops. Because
Like, ready to fight. Yeah.
Because that was rude. Like, why would you, like, what if you just got a relationship and someone hit you, or you live with an abusive parent? I don't know.
And my friend that I brought with me, I worked with, so she was the dental assistant also. She was like, is this guy serious?
That's wild. That's so
I was like, I
wild.
can fight him, I'm gonna fight the other one.
Yeah, when I first was talking to John, he doesn't really smile in photos. So I was trying so hard to get him to smile, and he finally just went, "Don't worry, I have all my teeth." I was like, "Oh, thank God," because I'm trying to get a photo of you smiling with teeth. Like, Not that I'm vain or anything, but there are little things where I'm just like, I don't know,
Yeah.
teeth,
Yeah.
you know.
I guess I never realized how important teeth were to me until I started working in the dental field. I guess it was like my destiny.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I guess
Wow.
that's my worst one. I mean, I had a guy that I wasn't really into. I had a lot of really weird issues. I was like, oh, you have a drug problem? Ooh, you don't have a job? My love could save you. It's fine. We're gonna be safe.
Oh my god! I used to have that problem
Yes.
too, and then after that, I had a checklist, which is probably why.
Yes.
Probably why I dated a lot of interesting characters. We're just going to say because my checklist was very. I had a really bad experience, so I was like, my checklist was very simple. I was like, you got a job, cool. I don't care where you work. Got a car, cool. That's
You
fine.
drive.
You drive. Do you do drugs? No? Cool. Let's go on a date. That was my simple, like, after dating someone who was addicted to drugs, that, like, I had a very, like, I would date whoever. I'm shocked I didn't end up on a date with a girl. I was actually getting to the point where it's like, are all the men just trash?
Well, when I got to that point, I was like, I think I'm asexual.
I was
I
thinking,
think you got, yeah.
I was like, maybe my mom was right. Maybe I'm not gay. But then I missed a certain thing too much, so I was like, yeah, I'm gay.
I think it's like a savior complex. I think we all go through that of like, you kind of put the red flags aside when like you start dating someone, like you're kind of like, but then it just always creeps in, and then you just reach a point where you're like, I'm not like, I don't want to like save you, because there's like, if it's like not a job or you're not working or you're addicted to something, whatever, or drinking, like that was, but I think that was a huge one for me. People that I've dated were really big drinkers, and I'm not necessarily a huge drinker. So that was just kind of like one of those things where I was like, oh, like as we progress, like it'll be like less drinking, like it will be less partying. And it just didn't really change. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I just don't know if I can like, I don't know if I can like mesh and I don't know if this is going to work. But you get in your head and you're like, oh, well, things will change. Like you're going to change. And like, I don't know. I think you just reach a point where you're like, I don't care. Like, and you're just like, I'm going to do me. And like, if it doesn't, like, and that's why right now I am so happy that I'm not like online dating. Like, I'm just like doing my own thing. And I think it'll just happen when it happens. And that's just, online dating is a whole conversation. Like, it's just so much. It really is. Like, there's just too many things.
One of the reasons I stayed with Kyle so much was even though he told people lies behind my back, made me look like an awful person to them, when it was just he and I got into it, like got to see Kyle when he wasn't doing drugs or things like that, because people would be like, why are you still with this guy? He does drugs. He talks. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't get to see what I see.
Right.
Which was someone who was desperate for love.
Yeah.
Well, to an outsider, that looks like an abusive relationship.
Yeah, like people, I think people at some point.
You saying you don't see him like I see him sounds like an abusive relationship. Like he only hits me when I'm out.
Well, that's the thing, people.
Abuse victims, like not making fun of that. But.
Like when he would make new friends, he would like. He should have been a politician. I told him all the time, you'd be a great politician because you can lie to someone's face like it's nobody's business. We're in Target once, and he started talking with a British accent, and they're like, oh my gosh, where are you from? And he just went on with them. I was like, I can't lie like that.
That's like kind of crazy though.
Yeah. So, but he would just tell people like, oh, Aaron just doesn't care about my health the way that I was like, no, that's... Because years later, I would have people be like, I'm so sorry. I thought you were the problem. I'm like, well, you're 3 years too late, but thank you. I was like, no, he had a drug problem, and that's why it seemed like I didn't care or was not taking him to the ER or things like that because he was trying to get drugs. I wasn't being mean. I was just...
Oh, yeah.
So
everyone's the villain in someone else's story.
Oh, I was definitely the villain. His family hates me. But
why?
I mean, in their eyes, I'm the villain that ruined their son's life, and he's no longer with us. I'm so, I had a mother tell her son like I was the reason her son was gay. I was like, I met your son on a dating app. Like,
I've had like one of my rules was you needed to be out of the closet. I'm like, I can't go back in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I couldn't be like your first gay experience.
Good Lord,
I'm like, I'm gonna be the parents, and then you blame me for him being gay.
You just check out your
I was thinking long term.
But with the villain thing, like I've told my cousin, I'm like, if his family needs to think I was if they don't blame him for stuff, that's fine. At the end of the day, I'd rather them blame me than blame their son that they don't have anymore. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine with being the villain in that story, because at least they can still see him as what they pictured him when he was younger.
Sure.
But I had his parent I made him gay. Had that, dated someone who broke up with me and went, I'm sorry, I just can't tell my parents. I'd rather be single than be gay. I was like, okay, that's fine. We can be friends. I was like, whatever, that's your life. Next day, I'm so sorry I said that. I was like, sorry, I didn't play that game.
You're like,
there were points where I felt, I guess desperate is the word. I would bend on some of my rules, and I did go out with a newly out guy, and he had never been with anybody, and I think we went out for lunch like I do, and then I let him come over to my apartment just to watch a movie, and legitimately watch a movie, because I'm like, he's new, I'm not going to ruin him and have sex with him. Like, we're just going to watch a movie. And I remember we were like cuddling, and he said something, he didn't flat out say this, but it was along the lines of, what are we? And I was like, it's date 2. And then like a few minutes later, he was like, it's going to be so great when you meet my parents. I was like,
Yeah, so there wasn't a third too. Oh my gosh.
He scared you off.
So there was no second date?
That was the second date. There was no third date.
There was no third date.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a whole, I don't think I'm ready for a relationship. I did tell him, I was like, I think we're in 2 different places in our lives.
Yeah.
Like, you're still like, his parents weren't fully comfortable with it. I was like, you're still dealing with all that. I'm so far removed from that. Like, I don't need to take steps back. I was like, I think you need to like work out your issues with your family first before pursue something.
See, I come from this really big, close family where we do holidays together. Like today, my great aunt Brenda and her husband are celebrating their anniversary. We're going out together. So I'm not used to that when I date someone who doesn't have that same kind of family issue.
Yes.
Kyle had it, and I'd be like, "Why don't you want to see your family?" Da da da. And I would try to push him to his family. Like, no, I'm going to save this family. I'm going to make them better. I'm going to bring the love.
You're going to be the glue.
Yes, I'm going to be the glue that brings them together. Right. Everyone's just going to love me because I'm amazing. It's my lifetime Hallmark movie. That didn't happen. But when you call you say you're not a good mom to a mom that's not really been a great mom to your son, that kind of causes some tension.
A little bit.
I have never met the parents besides Kyle's. I've never met someone I've dated. I've never met their parents.
I have to say something. Every person I've dated, they've all not had a good relationship with their family. But on my side, everyone was close with like my family, which is great. Like, it's great. I love that. But I also the next relationship I want to like meet their family. Like, I want to be a part of their family too. Like, I want that like love or whatever. And I'm 31. I have not. Every person I've dated, it's always been like, I don't talk to my parents. I don't see them. Like, da da da. I'm like, okay, great. So like,
in my family, it's when you married someone, it's just you still all get together and you have fun. Yeah. Sometimes their family comes too.
Yeah.
And it's just weird to not, like, John doesn't have that. So I'm always dragging him to my stuff. But I'm just like, I feel bad because I'm like, am I taking
I've actually been meaning to ask you about that. Does John talk to his family? Like,
He talks to his sisters occasionally. He has one cousin he's close to. His dad lives in Mexico, and his mom is just around. She doesn't really talk to him unless she needs something.
oh, okay.
So, like, then you have my family who it's like, oh, it's Sunday. We're going to Sam's. I'll meet you there.
Yeah, like it's a good family unit. Well, that's good for John, though. Like John has that, like your family. It's his chosen family.
That we're like the Tanners. Full House.
Oh yeah.
We're just super close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The door is always open.
Well, it's locked, but if you knock, we'll let you in. We're paranoid.
If you knock, somebody open it.
That's so funny.
Because I met some of John's relatives, but it was at his grandmother's funeral.
Oh, that's right.
And he was kind of like, this is probably the only time he'll meet them. I was like, oh, okay.
Wow. Well,
I think Greg's family is the first family that I've actually interact with and liked. I've met others, but I haven't always loved the dynamic. And this one, I was like, I want to be part of your family. Like, we do Sunday dinners with them a lot.
Aww.
Once a month, we'll get together with the brother and his sister-in-law. Like, I'm like really close with his sister that lives in the. He has a high ranch, so she lives in the downstairs part of it. That's like her apartment. So I'm always like talking to her, hanging out with her. Like, I like Greg's family, which is a nice change. And on the flip side, he likes my family. So everybody, we just haven't had them meet yet.
oh,
My mom met his mom, but like they haven't met my grandmother, my brother. So,
well, at the wedding.
yeah, at the wedding.
When is that?
Greg and I actually just want to like go to the courthouse and get married, and then just have a reception. Like we don't want to have like a whole big.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
See, my first
Cute.
marriage, I just went to the courthouse, didn't do anything. So my second one, I was like, you know what? Let's splurge a little.
Yeah, you deserve it. I kind of forgot that you were married before. Like when you said that, I was like, oh my god, I forgot.
It was kind of a marriage of convenience because he had just gotten out of rehab. How every wonderful story begins. I just picked him up and it was like, where are you going to go? Because his family wouldn't let him come home. And I was like, well, you can't live
You
with
met him while he was in rehab, or he'd gone.
Oh, no,
rehab?
no. This was one of his rehab stints. You know, like we were broken up, but we we're getting back together. It was a very unhealthy relationship for both of us. So he came to my mom's house. I was like, what are we going to do? I was like, well, I can hide you out for probably a few days, but you can't stay with me because I lived on campus where I worked. And for him to stay with me, we had to be married. Well, I was like, I'm sure we'll probably get married a few times. So do we just want to go ahead and do this?
How old were you?
I was probably 30.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was 2017, so yeah, I was 30. I just turned 30 not too long ago. So we went, got married, and didn't tell no one. No one knew. So that's how
crazy.
that happened.
That's
And
nice.
then
Oh my god.
10 months later, we got divorced.
Yikes.
Drugs.
Yikes. I'm so sorry.
That's actually how we started talking.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because to segue back to what we were talking about before, how people used to make him feel bad about his grief.
Yeah.
He was like venting about it on Twitter one day, and I don't know how we were following each other. I don't know if it was like so Twitter.
It was because of days. I remember seeing all your days. Like, oh my god, I can talk to this person about days. Yeah.
And
Wow.
I had been in a relationship with somebody 10 years ago that died from an overdose. And so I reached out to him and I was like, don't let anybody feel bad about your grieving process. It's still so soon. Like, you grieve the way you need to grieve. Like, just basically telling him that if he needed to talk to somebody, I had been through something similar. And we just started talking.
yeah, and it was a beautiful friendship bloomed.
That's awesome. On Twitter.
Now we have a podcast.
It was an interesting journey, make a wonderful movie because, you know, we thought we might try dating, but I feel like we were just too similar in a lot of ways that it just, even if we did date, no offense to Tommy, he's a great guy, it probably wouldn't have worked because we were so similar. Like,
And so far away.
yeah,
That wasn't a thing.
trust me, I was ready to haul ass out of Arkansas. I was ready to haul ass. When he asked me,
And I was like, I'm not moving to Arkansas.
I was like, don't worry, I'll make the move.
My best friend's like, what are you gonna do? You can't move to Arkansas.
Well, he was like, somehow we got up to, do you want to come visit? So I was like, sure. It's like, I've always wanted to go to New York. I don't want to go to New York alone because I'm from Arkansas, so things are vastly different here and people are vastly different. So I just felt like
around the holidays, it was like right after Christmas.
oh, it was right before New Year's Eve.
Yeah, so I was like, it's cool. You'll get to see New York around Christmas time with all the decorations. And
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Didn't I like offer to pay for like half your ticket or something?
Yeah, you actually paid for half my ticket, so that
Oh my god, that's so nice of you, Tommy.
And he stayed at my house, so he didn't have to pay for.
Yeah, so it was really wonderful, and his
I'm
friends
sure
were really
he did.
nice. I was so ready to move to New York after that. I was like, oh my god, I love it. Let me.
You were ready. You're like, my life is starting in New York.
And then just, things just didn't. Life.
Yeah.
I mean,
You take a chance though, right? Like, I think that's all what it's about. Like, even with just connecting on Twitter, you take a chance, and I think all of us can say that we've taken chances, we've driven, we've taken buses, airplanes, whatever, because I think at the end of the day, we want like a relationship, we want to give love a chance. So I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with that. So like, good for you guys. Like, and now you have a great friendship.
Yeah, I was gonna. It could have been one of those things where I feel like we're the same in this sense. If we would have dated when we split up, we would not be talking to each other. We would have probably blocked each other.
Well, it came around eventually. I just need to be mad for like a little bit, and then I come around. And then I can be rational, but I just need a little bit of time to be mad.
So,
What was the conversation?
I was just gonna say we're both with like I've hung out with Tommy and Greg now finally in person. Tommy seems perfect with Greg. And I'm perfect with John. I couldn't imagine us being with anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I was just going to say, like, what was the conversation like when you guys kind of, like, maybe when you came back home, did you guys just kind of decide equally, like, it's not going to work? Or, like, was there...
No, that was all Tommy.
My mind is constantly racing. I'm always thinking about, like, what the next step is.
Yeah, same.
Which is annoying. Is why I'm always so tired.
Wait, what's your sign, Tommy?
I'm a Taurus.
Oh, okay. I know Tauruses. Yeah. Okay.
And I think I just got myself so worked up that I was like, how is this going to work? I'm not moving to Arkansas. Like, I know me, long distance. Like, it's going to chip away at my sanity. I'm like, we're going to break up or we're going to fight all the time. And I don't want to make it sound like you were clingy.
Oh no, I was clingy. No,
because I was already worked up. Anything you said to me, I was just like, stop talking to me.
I think I'd ask like, so how are we going to take the next step? What's the next step going to be?
Yeah, and I was already like spiraling.
And I was like, I knew. I was like, that's what did it. When I asked what was the next step, I was like, that's what did it. But I mean,
You just feel it. Yeah.
But we were very far away. I was like, okay, there's got to be a next,
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we keep dating? Like, do we try to date, but also date other people? And I wouldn't have been one for that. I get attached really easily.
So you are clingy. That's what you're saying, Eric.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. I'm a little bit clingy, but there comes
Tommy, you're okay.
There comes a point where I'm like, I'm not clingy to them. I'm like, okay, I need a little bit of space. But there at first, I'm sure I'm very clingy. But
you're dating, so that's how you are when you're dating.
I also come from a clingy family. Like,
yeah,
when we're making big decisions, it's like I I am purchasing a TV that's $500. Should I do it? You know, like we're clingy.
That sounds like Craig's family.
You're destined to be with a family like that.
Like they go car shopping together, they go house hunting together.
Oh my God, yeah.
They go engagement ring shopping together.
Oh my God, it's a group event.
But I don't know. I've never been one to be open to the idea of an open relationship.
Yeah.
That's not a relationship to me.
Yeah.
And people can say, "Oh, that's heteronormative. Like, why are you like putting yourself in a box?" And it's not something that appeals to me. Like, I want my person.
Agreed.
Or mine.
Agreed. Yeah.
Oh,
I agree with that.
I'm such a jealous person. Like, if I knew my guy was getting more D than I was, I'd probably be like, well, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, it causes so much
I'm
problems.
just very competitive, and I don't know why.
You're ready to fight.
You too. And like, even like, if it was a situation where it's like you guys don't screw around unless it's the both of you with another, like an outsider, like that doesn't really appeal to me either. Because
See,
I get jealous and I would attack the person.
I am more open to that than I am just being like, I don't know if you talk to someone on the side or open. Because I had talked to a few guys that were like, oh, no, I'm in open relationships. I was like, wait, you're engaged?
Yeah.
You just hooked
And
up?
married. Yeah.
I was like, so I'm the other woman?
Yeah. You're the mistress.
I was like, I pulled up the cover.
I don't know why.
It was
When
so
that happened to
good.
me, there's been moments where I've been like, ooh, that's sexy. And I'm like, no, it's wrong. It's bad.
Yeah. Agreed.
After Kyle had died, though, I went through a little bit of a hoe phase. So I was like, well, I'm not the one cheating, I guess. So,
Yeah, you're like, I don't care.
which wasn't
That's
healthy
fun,
for
though.
me, which wasn't healthy for me. But yeah, like I had a few guys that are like, I'm like, why are you on a dating app? They're like, well, we don't have sex. I'm like, then why are you with this person that you don't talk to, you don't hang out with, you don't see,
Right.
you don't have sex with? So y'all roommates?
That's the point, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, your roommates? He's like, no, we're engaged. I'm like,
Well, that's the thing.
but you asking if I'm up and then coming over because my dumbass will always be like, yeah, I'm up, come on over.
Well, that's a crazy thing. I dated my one ex, and he was in open relationships prior. And like I said early on, I was like, that's not me. And I asked him, I was like, what was it about like your last relationship that you wanted to be in an open relationship? And he was just like, we were both like bottoms, and we didn't have the chemistry. And I was just like, okay, but like. So he's like, we opened that door to kind of just like hook up with people, but like we wanted to stay together. And I think that's kind of fine when you're dating. I think it goes a little further when you're engaged and married, when you're still playing that game of like, yes, it's years and years. It's just like mind boggling to me that you could be married to someone and like, if the sex is not great, the door opens to like, and not even like together, just like, oh, we're both kind of doing our own thing.
Yeah.
I would be mentally going insane. Like, I would be like, where are you tonight? Like, what are you doing tonight? Like, I don't know. And I try to wrap my head around it, like, okay, like, it's their story, like, if it works for them. But, like, I don't know. For me, in my relationship, like, I don't think that would ever work for me. Like, I'm so old school. Like, I just want one person. I want just to travel. I want, like, that kind of soulmate kind of thing. And I feel like nowadays in 2021, no one wants to talk about that. Like, soulmates are just one person, and everything is so like fluid and open, and it's kind of like fighting this norm. And I'm like, yeah, but there's still like kind of people that like just want like one person, and like they want a really good relationship. Not that the relationship is bad, but like, I don't know. And that's, it always made me so upset and mad going on these apps. If it was Grindr or Scruff or OkCupid or Plenty of Fish, it would always be like open relationship, open marriage, and it was just like everywhere. And I'm sure in New York too, it's so big. I don't know about in Arkansas if it's kind of like the same, but it always was just so like what is going on? Like, you guys had people. Why can't I find someone? You guys have someone. Like,
Yeah.
Interesting though, this one guy that would always text me up. Once I moved from South Arkansas, he texted me one more time. I was like, "Oh, sorry, I just moved." I mean, you don't let your hookups know you moved. So I'm like, let me go through it on list, and yeah. Well, he ended up breaking up with the person he said he would never break up with, and got with someone else. I was like, "Oh, so you just wanted me as side piece?" Okay.
a side piece. He had to text you at 2 a.m. Yeah, that's cute. Snapchat.
Early.
See, I feel like every long-term couple or married gay couple that I have met, they all are open at some point. And I really have not met that I know of one married couple that's just
The two of
two
them.
of them. And I told Greg, Greg was in a 15-year relationship.
Oh wow.
It wasn't always open, but it became open at some point. And I said to him, I was like, that's not what I'm looking for. So I don't know if it'll change over time. Like,
Well, that's the thing.
But
I think that's the thing with these marriages. I think you're with someone for 15 years, that like, does it become stale? Like, does it reach a point where you're like, okay, we're so comfortable, and that's what people have said to me, like, we're so comfortable in our relationship that, like, we trust each other, there's nothing going on, we just happen to kind of, meet people on Grindr, and we'll have things, and, like, together I can understand, like, okay, you want to have, like, a threesome, you want to have, like, a whatever. When it kind of, on Grindr, it's like both of you guys are kind of separate, and it's like, you're talking, and it's kind of like, does he know? Like, and then there's other people that, like, are on there, and the partner doesn't know, and then that kind of just becomes shady, because it's like, like, and then for me, in my head, I'm just like, I'm not being safe, like, I could catch something, because, like, if you're hooking up with me, then, like, you're hooking up with everyone else, like, so, I don't know, it's just so, and I guess you can't say, I mean, you can't say, like, who knows down the line if that could change, or if you guys trust each other enough to be like, it's fine. But, like, for me, like, definitely, if that gets brought up, I'm very, like, it's not my cup of tea, like, that's not something I need, like, I don't want an open relationship.
yeah.
And it's just, like, I feel like I'm just always fighting culture. Like, it's just, like, the culture is so different, and it's just, like, okay, but I don't want to settle on that. Like, I'm not settling on that.
I was never the person. I was never like a hookup person. I definitely went a hoe phase when I was like 24. I had just I had a really bad breakup. It was like a 2-year relationship. I just was having a really rough time, and I was more of like a makeout slut than like a sex slut.
Yeah, I can agree with that too. Yeah.
But I never really like met somebody at a bar and like went home with them or like took them home. That really wasn't my style.
I've never done that, but we'll always kiss you on the first date.
Oh yeah, if I was drinking and at a bar, I'd be like, yeah, make out with you. I made out with girls, bartenders, whatever.
I mean, we're being open and honest. I was easy. I was.
Okay.
You give me a little compliment, and I'd be like, oh, all right.
You're like taking off your shirt.
All right,
so we're
come off
going.
first. I'm ready. Let's do this. That actually happened. That happened in a club once. I was like, oh no one ever wants to date me. And the guy's like, well, maybe they're just too intimidated by you because you're so good looking. I was like, fuck.
Oh my gosh.
You're like, did we just get married?
Like, I can already see us picking out dogs.
Yeah. You have your Pinterest, like the wedding photos.
Yeah,
I was definitely that guy that was like on Grindr looking for a relationship. Like,
Yeah,
I just
same.
think the culture that like most apps that are dating apps for gay men, they're hookup apps. They're not dating apps.
Oh no,
Absolutely.
hookup apps.
They're promoted as dating apps, but they're hookup apps.
I love
They all work.
Yeah.
I love
They all work the same.
Well, no, I'm looking for friends. Hey, you want to come over later?
Yeah.
No, I do not.
People are not honest on these apps too. Like, that's the thing. People are saying like, oh, I'm looking for something substantial. And you start like, you hang out with someone and they're like, oh no, I'm like just looking like to hook up. And it's like, but I wouldn't be here because you were kind of like saying that like you want something serious. but it's like I'm on Grindr, so like, what am I doing?
I had that not happen on a dating app. There's this guy that I knew from college, and we ran into each other on campus because I had to get my transcript for something for a job, and we swapped numbers and we started talking, and he was like, oh, we went out on a date, just kissed, he was spilling his life story about how, it's so hard for him to date because, he's HIV positive, undetectable, and a lot of people didn't want to date someone like that. I'm just like, I know what it means. You're good. I'm not scared to date you.
Sure.
The bastard just wanted to hook up, and then after leading me on, was like, I just really want to hook up. Like, then why'd you lead me on? You made me seem like you wanted to date.
Yeah,
the reason why I was never that hookup person because I was so afraid of STDs, so afraid of them. And I know this sounds really like closed-minded, but I used to be like, I don't know if I could date somebody that was HIV positive. Now this is long before PrEP was around, and
yeah.
And I remember I was at a club in the city with one of my girlfriends, and she was waiting for like this like guy she was seeing who wasn't reliable. She's like, he says he's coming. I'm like, I doubt it. And I met this guy, and he told me he was HIV positive, but I was like really into him and like didn't care. And he lived on Staten Island, and I was like, so how would one get to Staten Island from here? But again, was still not a hookup person at that point, so I didn't. But I ended up driving to Staten Island the next day to hang out with him, and all he wanted to do was hook up, and I was like, all right, this was a wasted trip.
It's interesting. Like a lot of people I would talk to that were HIV positive, undetectable, I had no problem talking to them, and they would tell me all the same. They wanted to, find a relationship and all that, but then it always ended up they wanted to hook up, and I was like, wait, you spend all that time telling me your story, making me, and
that's
then you just want to hook up. I'm like, so all men are the same. They just want the D. Okay. But the first time I had talked to someone who was HIV positive, I'd asked my friends, like, would you date someone like this? And they were like, I don't think I could. And these are all straight people. She's like, I have a friend who her husband was cheating, got HIV, gave it to her. And I was like, would you want someone not to date your friend because of that? She's like, well, no, because she's a really good person. I was like, and that's why that's why I'm not closed-minded to talking to.
Yeah, no, of course.
Because
I think I started to open up more because I did talk to some people that were HIV positive.
But in the South, it's a big there was this guy in my hometown who had HIV, and it was whispered about like, I think so and so has, like, and you whisper it, and I'm like, that's just so wrong, So I'm always trying to change that stigma.
Yeah, it's like that small town kind of, like, everyone knows everything, especially with that's so dynamic. So
we also whisper, they have cancer, or we used to. Like,
so you're a part of the problem, Aaron. You're like spreading rumors.
I didn't say I was saying people. That's how they would say if someone they have cancer. Like they would. They were here to talk about. It's just. I mean, it's life.
Oh my god.
No,
I met Greg on a straight dating app. I met him on Tinder.
Ooh. Yeah,
I guess Tinder is like for everybody. But
it's become for everybody.
But I actually went on a few dates from Tinder, and I was like, my girlfriend was single at the time, and I was like, oh, you should try Tinder. I was like, I'm having a lot of luck. Like, it's so much, like, it's kind of like Grindr, but not really. I'm like,
yeah.
She's like, I think this is like a hookup. I was like, oh my god, is Tinder Grindr for streets? Like, and I'm just like having a lot of luck on there.
I have found out any dating app I was on was pretty much at some point a hookup app. I mean, John and I met through OkCupid.
Oh yeah.
Greg tried to talk to me on OkCupid, and I wasn't in the mood, so I like brushed him off.
Well, it's interesting. Like, OkCupid is the one app where if I wanted to meet a guy who was like 2,000 miles away, it was wonderful. Met a wonderful guy. Never went there though.
I used to get a lot of people in Connecticut, which is a ferry ride away, but it's still like an hour and a half.
I think it's because in the South it's probably such a small population, so that if you don't pay for it, you get what you get.
Yeah.
I used to like OkCupid, and then they slowly started restricting the stuff you could do on there.
I know. That's the apps you have to like pay for, and I think I was definitely that person. I was like paying for like Grindr. I was paying for Scruff. I paid for Tinder at some point because I really was like, I want to find someone because I feel like someone's gonna be out there. And I think I just reached a point where I was just like, this is just such a waste of money, and like it's just so stupid. Because
I
everything
convinced
was just
myself that
up.
Scruff was better than Grindr. I was like, this is where the real people are.
Yeah.
No judgment to anyone who pays for those apps. No judgment. But I was like, I am not paying for D.
Yeah.
And if I do,
Yeah, I never paid. I paid for
I
Match
think-
for 6 months, and then I was like, this is a waste of money.
I did the
Yeah.
free, I did the free trials. Like, here, I'll just try it out. Match.com, and found no guys. The closest one was Dallas. I was like, I ain't paying to have to drive 6 hours to meet someone. No, thank you.
Ooh, I did use way back. It doesn't even exist anymore. Yahoo Personals.
Oh my gosh, your agent.
And I actually ended up being in a relationship with that person. Granted, it was only for like 6 weeks, but
Wow. What is that? Is that like chat rooms? Like AOL chat rooms?
I
Like
think
back in the day
I
in the
think
90s?
Match.com owned it back in the day. It doesn't exist at all anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
Wow.
I've started noticing I'm in some Facebook groups, and it seems like Facebook groups is the new kind of like
They have a dating thing.
Messenger stuff where it's
Yeah.
I'm in some groups that are not even dating related, but they post thirst traps.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a few of these spiritual things like tarot card readings, things like that. But they post thirst trap. I'm like, this isn't a hookup group. Or I'm in some LGBTQ plus groups in Arkansas, and they're just like single, 24, da da da. And I'm like,
or it's my birthday, send me dick pics or something.
this is Facebook.
Well,
Ask
going,
me on Twitter.
yeah, I was about to say, going back to thirst traps, how do you guys feel about going on Twitter or Instagram and seeing thirst traps of guys literally half naked?
Depends
I love
on
it.
who it is.
I love it.
Depends who you're following, Aaron.
I don't know. I have one thirst trap, and John jokes about me all the time because I just his name is Michael Boston. He's an adult film star, but there is something about him. He's very charming. I'm just like, love him.
He's very cute. Yeah.
Oh, okay, you know who I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh. Do you guys ever post thirst traps on Twitter like me?
I don't.
I'm like 50 pounds overweight for thirst traps on just average Twitter. I need to be on the. I don't know. I don't feel like mine would be thirst traps as much as like shaming and making me feel bad. So
Oh my god, don't say that. No, I feel like everyone's really like positive with like all body types, and everyone's just like, oh my god, you're half naked. And
I
like,
kind of think like to me thirst traps now. It's more personality that I get from the like how much you're owning yourself and not just like ooh abs.
oh yeah, for sure.
Because I see abs and sometimes I'm like, you must be hungry.
Yeah.
Because you're in the gym all the time to get those abs. That's why I've never had them.
Yeah. It depends on like the person and the photo, and like I think it just reached a point now where people are just like posting photos, and it's just like, are you posting this like in the morning when you're waking up? Like, or are you really like posing in your underwear with like a banana in your hand? You know what I mean? Like, are they just have them in like stock photos and they're just like, I'm gonna post it on Twitter? Because like when I posted photos, I mean like I took a bunch of photos, I would have them in my phone, and then I would just kind of post them, and it was like, I'm just at home feeling sad about myself, and I'm gonna like, and like that's what it is. It's just like a boost of confidence. Like it's just,
It is.
but it's so crazy because people get likes, and now with OnlyFans, it's like now you can pay to see like nudes and stuff, and I'm just like, it's literally just for me, and it makes me feel good. But at the end of the day, that's all people kind of care about. And like I was on Twitter the other night, and I was like, it's so sad that like I can get likes and stuff if I put up a picture in my underwear and like a jock or something, but if I'm talking about something like real, no one gives a shit.
I saw
And it's
that
just like,
last night.
I'm working hard on this podcast, but if Tommy and I just start doing it like an OnlyFans thing, I'm sure then we would get following.
yeah, Well, yeah,
I've never been comfortable with my body to
See,
post.
I'm not either.
myself.
So like when I say I'm overweight, it's not me like judging someone for being my size or anything. It's my mind, no matter, even when I was at my skinniest, which was 155. See, that's a number I just can't remember. I still thought I was 20 pounds overweight.
Oh
So
my
did I.
god.
Now I look at photos when I was around that weight, and I look like a skeleton. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
People were like, "Oh man, you look like you had an eating disorder." I was like,
my head looked too big for my body.
I was like, I did. I just didn't tell nobody. I went through all the eating disorders. I overeat. I was bulimic. I was anorexic.
I think that's a huge problem in the gay community too, especially with men, that it's not really talked about, because I think, and that's the thing with Twitter, I think it's a huge problem going on Twitter and just seeing constant photos of people. And it's kind of like, oh, I'm too skinny, I'm too big. And it's like, no, you're not. Like, just be you.
I've always had weight issues or body issues, but one day when I first came out, I was like, no, I'm going to lose weight. Guys will start paying attention to me. And I kind of wish that wouldn't have happened, because
Yeah.
it just made it worse. But when I lost weight, that's when I started getting more attention. So
when I came out, I was around 165 pounds, and I lost 15 pounds. Just being in the gay community.
mhm.
Yeah, it's
Because
crazy.
I thought I was fat.
See, John loves a little extra cushion. I don't. I
See,
feel
my
like
tastes have changed. I used to love skinny boys, and every once in a while, I'm just like, all right, like old habits.
Yeah.
Now I think I prefer like a chubbier guy.
See, John loves a chubby guy.
I know. I saw his post the other day, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
All the time, he'll be like, man, I'm gonna miss, because I'm trying to, not lose weight to be sexy or anything like that, to be healthier and fit in some of my
Yeah.
clothes that
Yeah.
I thought were my big clothes.
It's supposed to feel good. Like when
Yeah.
you feel uncomfortable when you're at a
I
certain
feel
weight.
so much better since I've lost like even 10 pounds and I'm drinking more water. I'm like,
Yeah.
was dehydrated.
So thirsty.
Thirsty
Literally.
bit. Thirsty bit. Well, guys, this was fun.
Yeah,
It's kind of like therapy almost, just letting it out and
I
sharing.
know. Yeah, it was so nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.